There is a quiet shift that happens when a woman has gone a long time without deep emotional or physical closeness, and most men feel it before they understand it. Something in her energy changes, the room feels different around her. And if you pay attention today, you'll understand a pattern that has confused men for generations. Stay with me until the end of this conversation, because what you'll recognize there may reframe how you see connection itself. And if this kind of insight helps you grow, you're already the kind of man this channel is for, so feel free to stay connected. I want to begin gently, because this subject is often misunderstood. When a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time, it doesn't turn her into someone desperate, dramatic, or reckless. That idea comes from movies, jokes, and insecure narratives. In reality, something far more subtle happens. She becomes more aware of herself in relation to others. And that awareness begins to express itself in behavior that looks like attention-seeking, but is actually attention-testing. You see, intimacy for most women is not a single act. It's a state of feeling seen, safe, and emotionally alive. When that state has been absent for a long time, her nervous system doesn't panic. It recalibrates. She starts scanning her environment differently, not to grab attention from anyone, but to sense who is emotionally present, grounded, and capable of meeting her without force. This is where men often misread the signal. One of the first things she does is become more expressive, but not in obvious ways. Her tone becomes warmer, her eye contact slightly longer, her presence more intentional. She may speak a little slower or choose words more carefully. This isn't performance, it's regulation. She is unconsciously asking a question through her energy. Is anyone here emotionally awake enough to notice me without me asking? If you mistake this for flirting and rush forward, she often pulls back, not because she's playing games, but because she hasn't felt truly met yet. Attention alone doesn't satisfy the absence she's been carrying. Awareness does. Another thing she does is create moments, not advances. She may linger in conversation, ask thoughtful questions, bring up topics that invite depth rather than excitement. This is important. When a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time, shallow engagement feels empty. She's not looking for stimulation, she's looking for resonance. And here is where emotionally mature men stand out without trying. Most men respond to this shift by increasing effort, humor, charm, or intensity. But the men who naturally get her attention do the opposite. They slow down, they listen fully, they don't rush to impress or to interpret. Their presence says, I'm here, and I'm not trying to take anything from you. That safety is rare, and rarity is attractive. There is also something else she does, and this part confuses men deeply. She may appear more independent, even guarded. She might seem less available while actually being more aware of you. This isn't contradiction, it's self-protection. When intimacy has been absent for a long time, vulnerability feels valuable, not casual. She will not offer it to someone who hasn't shown emotional steadiness, so she watches how you handle silence, how you respond when she doesn't give you everything immediately, how grounded you are in yourself. This is not manipulation, it's assessment, and here's the truth most men were never taught. The attention she is seeking isn't validation, it's recognition. She doesn't want to be chosen. She wants to feel met. Those are very different experiences. When you understand this, you stop chasing signals and start becoming signal-worthy. You stop asking, how do I get her attention, and start embodying calm presence, emotional clarity, and self-respect. That is what draws her in quietly, without force, without confusion, and without losing yourself. And when you recognize this pattern, you stop mislabeling her behavior and start responding in a way that feels natural, grounded, and deeply attractive. When a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time, her attention doesn't move outward first. It turns inward. And this inner shift is where many men lose clarity because they assume desire always looks like pursuit. In reality, the longer intimacy has been absent, the more selective her attention becomes. She is no longer drawn to noise, she is drawn to regulation. What this means is simple but profound. She starts noticing how a man feels, not what he says, his emotional temperature, his patience, his consistency. She becomes highly sensitive to pressure, even subtle pressure, not because she is fragile, but because she has learned what emotional discomfort feels like when it's ignored for too long. So instead of chasing connection, she observes how connection forms around you. This is why she may test the environment in quiet ways. She may share a personal thought without over-explaining it. She may pause after speaking and see how you respond. She may let silence stretch just a little longer than usual. These are not games. These are moments where she is listening to her body's response to you. Does she feel calm or tense? Does she feel rushed or respected? Does she feel like she can remain herself, or does she feel subtly pulled into performing? Men often misunderstand this and try to fill the space. They talk more, they explain more, they offer solutions she didn't ask for. And without realizing it, they step out of emotional alignment. A man who holds her attention in this phase does something very different. He allows space without abandoning presence. He doesn't withdraw, but he doesn't crowd. His confidence is quiet, not reactive. He doesn't interpret every signal as a green light or a rejection. He remains steady. This steadiness is not passive. It's emotionally anchored. Another thing she may do is shift how she presents herself socially, not in a provocative way, but in a more intentional one. She may dress in a way that feels more aligned with her identity rather than trends. She may take better care of her appearance, not to be noticed, but to feel embodied again. This is often misread as seeking attention, when it's actually about reconnecting with her sense of self. Intimacy absence doesn't always create longing for another person. Often, it creates longing for oneself, and this is crucial for men to understand. When she is in this phase, she is not waiting to be rescued from loneliness. She is refining her standards for connection. Any man who approaches her with urgency, entitlement, or expectation feels immediately misaligned. This is why she may respond more warmly to a man who is calm but less available, rather than someone who is eager but emotionally ungrounded. It's not about mystery, it's about nervous system compatibility. She is subconsciously asking, "Can I stay regulated around you?" If the answer is yes, her attention deepens. If the answer is no, she disengages quietly, often without explanation. And here's where men who are emotionally mature gain an unfair advantage. They don't take this personally, they don't push for clarity too soon, they don't demand emotional access as proof of interest. They allow attraction to unfold organically, without pressure. This creates a paradox. The less they try to secure her attention, the safer she feels offering it. When intimacy has been absent for a long time, safety becomes seductive, calm becomes compelling, presence becomes powerful. And when a man understands this, he stops trying to activate desire and starts embodying the conditions where desire feels safe enough to emerge on its own. As time without intimacy stretches on, a woman's relationship with desire becomes more refined, not weaker. This is where another misunderstood behavior appears. She becomes more discerning about who she gives emotional access to, and she does this in a way that feels almost invisible unless you know what to look for. She may stop reacting quickly, messages aren't rushed, responses aren't immediate. This isn't disinterest, it's containment. When intimacy has been absent, she no longer leaks energy toward uncertainty, she conserves it. Her attention becomes intentional, not automatic. Men often mistake this calm selectivity for emotional distance. They assume something is wrong, and in trying to fix what isn't broken, they reveal impatience. Impatience to her nervous system feels unsafe. What she is actually doing is watching how you handle not being centered immediately. A man who becomes anxious when attention isn't constant signals emotional dependency. A man who remains grounded signals self-sufficiency. And when intimacy has been missing for a long time, self-sufficiency feels grounding, not threatening. Another subtle thing she does is allow herself to be seen in incomplete moments. She may share uncertainty, a quiet frustration, a reflective thought that doesn't have a polished ending. This is significant. It means she is checking whether emotional exposure is respected or exploited. Does the man listen without interrupting? Does he try to fix, or does he understand? Does he make it about himself, or does he stay with her experience? When intimacy has been absent, she is not drawn to intensity, she is drawn to emotional literacy. This is also why humor changes in this phase. It becomes softer, more observational, less performative. She laughs more easily with men who don't try too hard. Laughter becomes a sign of nervous system relaxation, not excitement. And relaxation is the doorway to deeper connection. There is also a boundary shift that men rarely recognize correctly. She may say no more clearly, not harshly, but calmly. She may decline invitations without apology. She may hold her schedule more firmly. This is not rejection, this is self-trust. When intimacy has been absent, a woman learns that over-accommodating leads to emotional depletion, so she stops explaining herself. And the men who respect this without challenge rise quietly in her awareness. A man who tries to negotiate her boundaries loses attraction without knowing why. A man who accepts them gains trust without trying, and trust is the soil intimacy grows in. Here is something important and often overlooked. In this phase, she is highly sensitive to emotional congruence. She notices when a man's words and behavior align. She notices when interest is steady rather than intense and inconsistent. She notices when kindness isn't transactional. Why? Because long periods without intimacy teach her what emotional inconsistency feels like inside her body. She will not return to it willingly. So what truly gets her attention is not boldness, it is coherence. A man who knows who he is, what he values, and how he treats people consistently stands out without effort. He doesn't rush connection, he doesn't withdraw to provoke it, he allows it to develop naturally. This creates a quiet magnetic pull. And here is the deeper truth. When a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time, she is not looking for someone to fill a void. She has already learned how to live with it. What she is looking for is someone who does not create new emptiness, someone whose presence feels like an addition, not a demand. When you understand this, you stop trying to trigger attraction through tactics. You start cultivating emotional steadiness, respect for space, and clarity of intention. And those qualities don't just get her attention, they earn her trust. When intimacy has been absent for a long time, something important happens beneath a woman's awareness. She becomes deeply attuned to emotional honesty, not dramatic honesty, not forced vulnerability, but quiet truthfulness. And this is where many men unknowingly disqualify themselves. She begins to notice what a man avoids, not what he says, but what he doesn't say. Not his confidence in moments of control, but his presence in moments of uncertainty. She watches how he handles mild discomfort, small misunderstandings, or emotional pauses, because when intimacy has been missing, she has already spent time alone with her thoughts. She has faced herself, and she will not connect deeply with someone who is disconnected from himself. This is why she may ask simple, almost casual questions that carry emotional weight. Questions about your values, your past, your view on relationships, or how you handle stress. She isn't interviewing you, she's listening for alignment. Does your answer feel lived in or rehearsed? Does it feel grounded or performative? Men who try to impress often give impressive answers. Men who are emotionally present give honest ones, and honesty, even when imperfect, feels safe. Another thing she does is slow the pace of emotional escalation. If you move too fast emotionally, she may gently redirect. If you push for closeness before emotional stability is established, she may become quieter. This is not withdrawal, it's recalibration. When intimacy has been absent, she understands the cost of premature closeness. She knows how painful it is to open emotionally before trust is built. So she chooses patience, even if desire exists. Men often misinterpret this patience as lack of attraction and either intensify pursuit or pull away entirely. Both reactions break emotional rhythm. A man who holds her attention here stays consistent without pressure. He doesn't demand reassurance. He doesn't disappear to provoke desire. He remains emotionally available without needing outcome. This emotional neutrality is powerful. There is also a noticeable shift in how she responds to masculinity. Loud dominance repels her. Quiet confidence draws her in. She notices how you treat people who offer you nothing, how you handle boundaries without ego, how you remain composed when things don't go your way. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being regulated. And here is something most men never hear. When a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time, her body becomes highly sensitive to emotional congruence. She can feel when words and energy don't match. She can feel when interest is conditional. She can feel when kindness has an agenda. That sensitivity is not suspicion. It's wisdom built through absence. So what truly gets her attention is emotional transparency without urgency. A man who can say what he feels without pressure, who can express interest without attachment to outcome, who can remain kind even when things unfold slowly. This creates a sense of emotional safety that is rare, and safety does not kill attraction, it allows it to deepen. As this unfolds, she may begin to mirror your calm, she may open slightly more, share a little deeper, laugh a little freer. These are not signs to accelerate, they are signs to stay steady, because when intimacy has been missing, what she is testing is not whether you want her, she is testing whether you can hold space for connection without trying to control it. And the men who pass this test never feel like they're being tested at all. They simply feel aligned. That alignment is what keeps her attention when novelty fades and attraction becomes something quieter, deeper, and far more real. As her attention settles, something subtle but meaningful begins to happen. When a woman hasn't been intimate in a long time and she senses emotional safety with you, she starts allowing proximity without urgency. This is a stage many men rush through, not realizing how much trust is being built in stillness. She may begin to seek shared presence rather than shared excitement. Sitting together without constant conversation, comfortable pauses, moments where nothing needs to be proven. This is not boredom. This is regulation. Her nervous system is learning that closeness does not require performance. Men who feel the need to entertain, impress, or constantly stimulate often disrupt this phase without knowing it. They confuse silence with disinterest. But silence, when chosen rather than imposed, is often intimacy beginning to form. Another thing she does is let her guard down in small, practical ways. She may ask for your opinion, share a minor concern, invite you into her daily rhythms rather than her highlights. This is important. She is not escalating emotionally. She is integrating you into her sense of normal. For a woman who has gone a long time without intimacy, normal is sacred. Men often expect closeness to arrive with intensity, but real connection arrives with consistency, and she is watching whether your behavior remains steady when nothing dramatic is happening. Do you stay kind when there's no reward? Do you remain present when there's no validation? Do you show interest without expectation? These questions are never asked aloud, but they are always being answered. She may also become more playful in a grounded way, light teasing, subtle humor, a warmth that feels relaxed rather than charged. This playfulness is not flirtation in the traditional sense. It's trust expressing itself safely. And here's something crucial. At this stage, she becomes acutely aware of emotional pressure, even well-intended pressure, comments that imply timelines, expectations disguised as jokes, subtle claims on her time or attention. When intimacy has been absent, autonomy becomes precious. Any hint of possession before connection feels complete can cause her to pull back internally, even if she remains polite outwardly. A man who holds her attention here respects her pace without interpreting it as uncertainty. He understands that connection deepens when it is not chased. He also maintains his own life, his purpose, his routines, not as a strategy, but as a reality. This signals emotional health. It tells her she is being invited into a full life, not asked to fill an empty one. This is deeply attractive, because when intimacy has been missing, the last thing she wants is to become someone's emotional anchor before trust is built. Another sign appears quietly. She begins to check in emotionally. Not with questions, but with presence. She notices your moods, your energy, your consistency. This is her way of attuning, not attaching. Men who become self-conscious here often break connection by over-explaining or withdrawing. Men who remain grounded allow this attunement to develop naturally. And here is the deeper layer. When intimacy has been absent for a long time, a woman is not afraid of closeness. She is afraid of collapse, emotional collapse, loss of self, disappointment that comes from rushing what should be grown. So what keeps her attention now is emotional maturity in motion. A man who can enjoy closeness without clinging, who can appreciate warmth without ownership, who can remain open without demanding outcome. When she experiences that, her attention stops scanning. It settles, and when attention settles, intimacy no longer needs to be pursued. It begins to emerge on its own terms. When a woman has gone a long time without intimacy, the final shift in her behavior is not loud, dramatic, or urgent. It is subtle, grounded, and easy to overlook if you are not emotionally present. This is the moment where her attention stops searching and begins resting, not clinging, not questioning, simply staying. Most men were never taught to recognize this stage because it doesn't look like pursuit. It looks like calm. Her energy softens around you. Conversation feels less effortful. She is no longer trying to be interesting or impressive. She allows herself to be ordinary in your presence. And this is not a loss of attraction, it is the deepest sign of it. When intimacy has been absent for a long time, a woman does not want to feel on, she wants to feel at ease. She wants to know that closeness does not require performance, explanation, or emotional labor. So she pays close attention to how you respond when she is simply herself. Does your interest remain steady when she is quiet? Do you stay warm when she is not entertaining? Do you remain respectful when nothing is being offered? These moments answer questions she does not consciously ask. Another thing happens here that many men misinterpret. She may stop giving obvious signals, less flirting, less testing, less emotional probing. This does not mean attraction has faded. It means evaluation has ended. Her nervous system has already decided whether it feels safe. At this stage, she is not choosing with her mind, she is choosing with her body. And the body does not respond to pressure, it responds to consistency. A man who keeps her attention now does not suddenly change pace. He does not push for labels to secure certainty. He does not pull away to regain control. He stays emotionally congruent. His words match his behavior. His interest remains clear but unforced. This is where emotional maturity becomes visible. Because when intimacy has been missing for a long time, a woman is not afraid of closeness itself. She is afraid of losing herself inside it. She has learned, often through experience, that rushing connection can lead to emotional collapse. So she moves toward what feels stable, not what feels exciting. Stability does not mean predictability, it means emotional reliability. She notices how you handle small disagreements, how you respond when plans change, how you speak about other people when nothing is to be gained. These details matter more than grand gestures ever could. And here is something rarely spoken about honestly. At this stage, desire is no longer something she is trying to activate. It is something she is allowing. Desire becomes a response, not a pursuit. That is why men who try to escalate aggressively often feel her pull away right when they think things are going well. They mistake comfort for complacency and push for intensity, not realizing they are interrupting trust. A man who understands this allows closeness to deepen naturally. He enjoys her presence without claiming it. He appreciates attention without demanding it. He remains grounded even as connection grows. This creates a powerful dynamic. She feels chosen, not captured, safe, not obligated, seen, not consumed. And when a woman feels that way, her attention becomes intentional. She shows up emotionally without prompting. She invests without being asked. She opens without fear of being rushed. This is not attachment born of lack. This is connection born of choice. So what does she ultimately do to get your attention when intimacy has been absent for a long time? She does not chase. She does not beg. She does not compete. She watches. She notices who remains calm without control, who listens without agenda, who stays present without pressure, and she gives her attention to the man who does not try to take it. This is the truth most men never hear. The strongest attraction is not created through effort, strategy, or intensity. It is created through emotional alignment. When you remove urgency, strengthen self-respect, and remain emotionally available without attachment to outcome, you become the man her nervous system can relax around. And when relaxation meets respect, desire follows naturally, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. And that is the kind of attention that does not fade with time.